We actually had some positive project economy news this morning. Hawaii's economic recovery has officially started, according to the state's annual forecast out this morning by UHERO, the University of Hawaii's economic research organization. The report by UH economists predicts that visitor arrivals will increase by 2.9% this year. Construction is expected to see a boost as well as federal and state stimulus funding begins to kick in, a rise of $779 million compared to 2009 to $1.2 billion this year. Now, UHERO expects unemployment to stay at about 6.9% in 2010 before dropping slightly next year. And to talk more about this report is our University of Hawaii's Economic Research Organization, and joining us from that organization is Carl Bonham. He's an economics professor from UH. Good morning, Carl, and thank you so much for joining us. Good news today, and this is something that you guys had predicted, right?
Well, last quarter, when we released our last report, we predicted that the growth would begin in the first half of 2010. And that's growth in jobs. Now, what's different about this report is we actually have new data on job counts that show that in many sectors, job growth actually began at the end of last year, which is good news. It tells us that we've bottomed and growth is beginning. It happened in hotels, it happened in education services, finance, insurance, and real estate. So there's a number of sectors that are beginning to show some growth.
And we just had an interview from the Pearl Harbor Naval Shipyard. They're looking for jobs, but for most of the folks out there, does this report mean that they can actually find a job now?
Well, as you mentioned in your lead-in, the unemployment rate is not expected to fall, at least not very much, over the next several years. So one of the things that will happen is that as people go out and as more jobs are created, people will get the idea that there are jobs out there, more people will begin to look, and they'll find jobs, but the unemployment rate's likely to stay fairly high.
And UHERO is doing something new now. They're forecasting real GDP. What does that mean for us folks who aren't too educated in economics?
Well, GDP stands for gross domestic product, and that's the broadest measure of the state's economy. It measures the value of the output of everything we produce. Everything from restaurant meals to the construction of a house to the construction of a surfboard. It all gets measured there in dollars. What real GDP is it takes out the effects of inflation. And in our report, we're taking out the effect of inflation differently than the Bureau of Economic Analysis uses national prices to take out inflation. We use local prices. And what that means is we get a little bit different number. And our forecast for total real output is basically no growth in 2010. Followed by a little bit more growth, almost 0.5% in 2011, and then more moderate growth after that.
Definitely a good indicator of what things are doing here in the islands. Where can people look at your forecast? And you guys have some special news to announce this morning, right?
That's right. Actually, the forecast that's available on our website, we release a public summary. It has the information on GDP. It has the background information on what's happening in the economy and some of the forecasts, and that's sponsored by the Bank of Hawaii. That's the new news. Bank of Hawaii is sponsoring, they're the lead supporter of our data portal, where you can go and look at just about any data you want on Hawaii's economy and the county economies. The website is UHERO, UHERO. It's actually on the screen, uhero.hawaii.edu.
All right, Carl Bonham, thank you so much from UHERO. You are all our heroes this morning for always giving us this great information, and we'll see you guys next week, Friday.
Great.
Thanks a lot.